Go. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Inspired by Christ podcast. I'm your host, Kourtney Goff. We got another special guest today, my boy, Jordan Addison. Man, look,
Sure.
I'm gonna just go down the accolades. He got so much stuff. He a little modest, but I know the things that he's doing that's great, that's impacting the youth to inspire them to be a better version of themselves. So not only is he a husband, a father of two boys, what I mean, he almost got a decade in the education
Mhm.
field. But then on top of that, he's the principal of a middle school. Just so many things that you're doing, but also a two-time Division I sport player, track, football, was a coach, football, track, like you name it, man. This guy doing it. He got a lot of hats that he wearing, man. Let's
Mhm.
welcome to the podcast, Jordan Addison, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Pleasure to be here, man. And it's good to see you, Courtney, and all the great stuff you're doing, man, and inspiring. I love the title for the jump, man. Inspiring, like little brother inspiring, dog. We come from the same cloth. Proud
Man,
of you, dog. I'm very proud of you. Thank you for having me.
man, appreciate it, man. That's vice versa, as you know, man.
Mhm.
I know we talked for a quick second before we jumped on, but man, I just like, from time to time I go on social media and I see things and I just love seeing cats that I knew that I grew up with, and you just like, wow, you see them doing great things. And on top of that, going back to the youth, being a teacher and a principal, and
Mhm.
like again, people being able to see somebody that looks like them. And now that allows them to be like, yo, I could do that too.
Mhm.
Jordan did. I know Jordan. I could do that too. Courtney did. I could do that too. So
Yes,
I
sir.
had to reach out to you to get you on. I'm glad that we were able to get you on. But to let them know a little bit more about you, even though that you said, you're in the teacher field, you
Mhm.
work with the youth, you work with the kids. Where did that passion come about that you just were like, you know what, this is what I gotta do. I gotta go to school for, early childhood education. Like, how did that come about?
It's crazy that you say that because I was at a real dark time in my life.
Hmm.
2014. I just graduated from New Mexico State. I'm gonna be totally transparent.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was a manager of Foot Locker.
Mhm.
So that's a whole nother story. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I found myself conflicted. I really wasn't happy. Like
Mhm.
I just and it was like really affecting me as a person. So I asked my older brother, my oldest brother, I said, "Yo, man, what motivates you to wake up and do the same thing you did the day before?" Because
Mhm.
he'd leave at 5 in the morning,
Mhm.
not have any time with his son, and get home at like 11 o'clock at night.
Mhm.
And he was like, "Yo, man, if I had a chance to feed my family, TV, chicken dinner, or steak, I'm gonna feed them steak. So I got to work hard for it." And then
Mhm.
he asked me, he said, "Yo, little bro, what inspires you to do the same thing?" And I was like, "Nothing, man." And I was crying. He was
Mhm.
like, "Little bro, you don't need to be there anymore."
Mhm.
Next week, I got a call from our aunt who was like, "Hey, I know you want to be an athletic director,
Mhm.
but Nazareth has this program
Wow.
in education. I really think you'd be a great candidate." And I was like, "Yo, say less." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I put my application in, and then the rest was history.
Wow.
Came there the day, like right before school started, didn't even have my clothes because it got messed up on the plane, but I was like, "Yo, I'm here."
Wow.
And come to find out, like that's what I was supposed to do in life, man.
Man, wow. Let's just hear
Yeah.
a story that inspires so many people, because that's where it's great to be transparent, because
Mhm.
so many people are going through those same exact things. I experienced those same things. I remember when I first got to school, I worked at Finish Line. I was the store manager there, and I just was like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing? I didn't go to get
Mhm.
my degree to be here
Oh,
working at
no.
a sneaker store behind a
Mhm.
person that don't got a degree. So it was just like, I was like, come on, this not making
That's
sense. I'm
crazy.
like, God, where you got
Yeah.
me at? Because I'm trying to
Mhm.
figure it out. So
Mhm.
that's great that you had that experience and you have a big brother in your life that
Mhm.
told you and molded you and sent you in that right direction. That's beautiful. Other thing that I have to ask for you is, like with you playing Division I sports,
Mhm.
and now having success in athletics, but then
Mhm.
now doing it in your professional life as well. It's a lot of kids that have that same desire as me and you. Like, I want to
Mhm.
play Division I. I don't want to play Division I. And
Yeah.
then when you get there, that's a blessing. But then we
Yeah.
also know that everybody not gonna go to that next level. So I want to know hear from you,
Mhm.
like what are like those transferable skills that you got from sports that you're able to carry in
Mhm.
your professional life that helped you be successful?
Man, I tell my students even when I was coaching too, I'm like, "Hey man, what do you think you have to do to get there?" And then they say like, like work hard and stuff. I'm like, that sounds cute.
Hmm.
But I'm like, yo, man, like I had to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to lift weights. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you think
Yeah.
I wanted to do that? I'm
Yeah.
like, but yo, self-discipline said I had to. So
Yeah.
the biggest thing that especially amongst young men, I'm teaching them early is like, yo, man, you have to have self-discipline. Like, you have to do what you're supposed to do, even though you may not want to do it. Like,
Facts.
yo, like, there's times you want to hang out. There's
Mhm.
times where like, but you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, you keep your eye on the prize. I try to instill like, yo, what it means to work hard,
Mhm.
because you can be talented, but there's always someone who's working harder than you.
Facts.
And I take a lot. God rest his soul. Like the mama mentality. That's something that hit me after college. But I also use my experience to tell them, like, look, man, um, you're just in a way, you're just another number.
Mhm.
So you may be great here,
Mhm.
but there's 49 other states, boys from all, you know how it is, boys
Yeah,
from all over
that's a
who
fact.
played elite competition.
That's a fact.
And also, like, what's your plan? Like a small percentage of athletes make it,
Come on,
just to play even Division 1, and then it's even smaller
come
for
on.
athletes who want to go pro. And if that's your goal and all, like, you're gonna have to work really hard,
That's a
like
fact.
extremely hard. So I teach them self-discipline and just the hard work aspect, and how to juggle. And I'm an open book. I'm like, take it from me,
Yeah.
take it from me. I've done it at a high level. I've seen gentlemen who surpassed that and who went pro, but I
Mhm.
also saw the work that they put in,
Yeah.
and kind of like how things just like align. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It takes hard work, and I love being in middle school. At the middle school, because they really can soak that stuff up. They're still impressionable. But
Mhm.
when I coached high school too, that was the same conversation. And sometimes it didn't come off the best, but it just had to be said.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes the biggest turnaround.
No, man,
Mhm.
I think that that's so true. Like all the things that you're laying out, so many people look past that and like they see a goal in mind, especially with the younger kids. Like you said, the middle schoolers, that's my bread and butter. Like middle school, high school, I love talking with those young men, just having those conversations. But to your point, sometimes they have these goals in mind, but you got to understand the hard work that it takes to get to
Mhm.
that point. And even more so, even like the focus, like you said, discipline. You got to be focused and say, okay, if this is my goal, you're gonna have to give up some things. You're gonna have to
Mhm.
sacrifice some things to get to that point. So, and what better other person for them to be able to hear that from is you, a person that's been
Mhm.
there. Like, yo, you want to get to this spot,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to do some hard work. And I've seen some other
A
cats
lot.
that went past that.
Mhm.
You're gonna have to put in some
Gonna
more
take a
work.
lot.
So that's definitely big time. And so knowing how important family is to you with your wife and your two beautiful boys, man,
Man,
like
thank you.
how do how would you describe like how they like impact you, like your day to day, like how you talk to
Yeah.
your brother with the steak and all
Mhm.
that, like, but how does that now you in that spot, how does that motivate you every day?
Bro, I'm gonna feed them steak. You know what I mean? Yo, I'm going to feed them steak. The
Yes, sir.
biggest thing uh that hit me was when I first had King in 2019.
Mm.
I was in RCSD at the time and going through that whole financial crisis.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
once I had him, man, it was like everything just shifted in terms of how I treat somebody else's kid.
Come
You know what I
on.
mean? Like, that was the biggest thing. I was teaching fourth grade at the time, and when he was born, that was one of the best days of my life. You know what I mean? Tied for
Yeah.
first when Kai was born, and
Yeah.
second being wedding day.
Wife, yeah, yeah, wife, yeah.
But when he was born, and as I'm raising him, there was a lot of times where I just prayed. I thank God. Like, I'm like, yo, I'm a father, especially of a boy too. It's a different type of feel.
Yeah,
Uh, but it made me really cognizant of how I treat somebody else's child. You know what I mean? Like, yo, that's somebody else's kid.
yeah, yeah.
And I heard at a conference last year, leadership conference, he was like, yo, you're taking somebody's prized possession and you're molding their mind. Like, you literally have the power to make or break them.
That's a fact.
And where do you want to go with that? But those my two boys, they're crazy right now. They run around. It's that waking hour. I love it. It taught me how to be more of a, like, I got to be really about my business, you
Mhm,
know.
mhm.
It taught me honestly, man, and I have a band that I wear that says I am second, you
Yeah,
know. So it taught
yeah,
me, like, yo, man, it's not about you. When it comes to your
yeah,
wife, you're
yeah.
not first. You know what I
That's
mean? You a distant third. The cat actually comes
right,
before you.
right.
Like, you know what I mean?
That's a
But
fact.
it taught me to be selfless. Like,
Hmm.
to and be patient, give grace. I grew up different. My father was very, like no emotion, this, that, and the third.
Hmm.
But being who I am now and what I noticed, like I'm teaching them like, no, it's okay. What's your feeling? Like
Yeah.
what are you feeling? Okay, why do you feel that way? But it definitely taught me how the impact of having another person, like another kid.
Wow.
And I don't carry that lightly. You know
Yeah.
how it is. Like it's
Yeah.
a different feel when you're a father, and
Yeah.
I'm just thankful that I have that opportunity to be dad, man, and be
Come on.
present. Like
Come
be
on.
present, man.
Game
I'm,
changer.
I'm thankful, dude. I thank God for them every day, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm deep in thought right now, man. It's
I
crazy.
know,
At
I
the
know,
right
I know.
time.
Look, I know because I'm at the same space.
Yeah.
Like you said, you had King at
Mhm.
2019. Our oldest daughter, she just turned 5, and our
Yeah,
youngest
that's
3.
right.
So it's like around that same kind of age.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean, and so I know that feeling. But I have 2 girls, so I'm a girl
Yeah.
dad. So I had to really tap into that emotional intelligence that you're talking about with your boys.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
important because you grow up be hard playing all these sports, but it's
Yeah.
okay to have, share your
Mhm.
emotions, be confident in sharing your
Mhm.
emotions and how
Mhm.
you articulate that. So I agree that's super, super great that you do that. The other thing that I wanted to touch on that you said that I truly agree with you about the teachers, they really mold our kids. Like I
Mhm.
am a huge advocate. Like I feel like teachers should be getting paid way more. Principals, they
Yeah.
should be up in the 6 figures. I'm not just saying that for you, but
Yeah.
I know that now from
Mhm.
becoming a parent.
Mhm.
And I see, okay, your kids are with the school majority
Yeah.
of the day.
8
So if
hours a
you
day.
add those hours up day over day, month over month,
Mhm.
year over year, these people are raising your kids. And that's why I see why people say, okay, I'm gonna put my kids in a private school. I'm gonna
Yeah.
send them to a prep school or I'm
Mhm.
gonna send them to this school because those people are shaping your children to be who they
Mhm.
are, the things that they did, the things that they learn, the core things. And
Mhm.
so me and my wife, I realized I'm like, oh, they're an extended part of our family.
Mhm.
So I take care of the teachers. I take
Yeah.
care of the directors
Uh-huh.
in my school. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
y'all want some donuts? We sell
Yeah.
subs. Like, okay, what we doing this month? Because y'all need that little bit of to say, yo,
Mhm.
we care. We see what y'all doing. We value y'all. So yeah, man, salute to all the teachers out there, all the
Yeah,
people
man.
that's
Big
in the education
salute.
system. That's big time. I
Hard
appreciate
work,
that.
man. It ain't easy.
That's
It
a
ain't
fact.
easy. I
Come
know
on.
that for a fact, man, but it's definitely gratifying. I
Mhm.
like what you said, man. I like that, like they're extended part of our family. So like, yo, what do you need? You
That's
know
a
what I mean?
fact.
Like, what do you need?
What do
Uh-huh.
you need? What do you
Hmm.
need, man? Because that's just like, for example, with your wife, if I see my wife, I'm like, okay, let me get her some flowers. I'm in the grocery store. Or I see my kids, oh, that might be some sneakers they might want. Let me
Yeah.
grab those
Uh-huh.
because you care about them. So same
Yeah.
thing if I'm out in the bar. Oh yeah, I know the director. She like
Yeah.
donuts. Let me get that. Okay,
Yeah.
she like parfaits. I'm right here. Let me go ahead and get that. Like those small things change it. So then now, and I also too maybe a little bit to myself. I want to make sure that I take care of my child. Just keep it real. But if you love somebody, they're
Yeah.
gonna love your kids back.
Yeah. Yes,
That's
sir.
why I'm always on top of that too. But
Capital, man. Social capital.
come
Social
on, man, let's make it
capital.
work. Let's make it work. That's one of the best currencies. So now, like transitioning to our inspired by Christ questions. First question I have for you, why did you give your life to Christ?
Mhm. So I know the first time I remember doing it, man, because it's always a journey, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And sometimes you get off track, or you fail to see the end goal.
Hmm.
First time I remember vividly being in ninth grade. My uncle Mike Peace is one of the best men I know. You know what I mean? I had dad in my life, but
Yeah,
if I didn't, Mike Peace, that's my uncle.
yeah,
But I'd be like, yo, dude, if there was no dad, it's you. You know what I mean? We all have those men
yeah, yeah,
figures in
yeah.
our life, and
That's a
he's definitely one of them. And hearing him speak, uh, you just feel this. And I was like, yo, this is time. So I remember vividly in ninth grade, circle back in college. And then recently, 2021,
wow.
um, it's one of those where again, circling, looking back, hindsight, uh, you're never perfect, but if you can have something to strive for, like why not?
That's a
So, um, it was in 2021 was the time where I was getting married and
mhm.
things like that, and it was really like confliction between the current me and then the better me. And I was like, remember sitting in my car and I was like, man, the better me is going to win. It's
Yeah.
got to win. You know what I mean? The better me is going to win. And
Mhm.
then that's where I redevoted myself, um, and just stay the path. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Marriage is a different responsibility.
Yes.
You're faced with temptation.
Mhm.
You're faced with, there's ups and downs.
Mhm.
So knowing that I have an end goal that helps me out and keeps me grounded, man. So I'm grateful that God has been with me because I've had some times, some ups and downs, and then some.
Yeah.
Um, God's always been with me, and I'm just thankful that I'm still someone in high favor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always in high favor. But it's always a journey, man. It's a journey.
That's
It's a
a fact,
journey.
man. And
Yeah.
I agree with you with that
Hmm.
same sentiment. I look at it like progression over perfection. Like we're
Hmm.
never going to be perfect, but we got to continue to strive every day to progress,
Hmm.
be better. And similar to you, I went through that same process, and I felt like I just kept hitting my head, and I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, now I'm trying to figure out who I want to be with for the rest of my life. You start
Hmm.
getting older, you start thinking about, okay, I want marriage, I want
Hmm.
kids, I want to build this legacy out, and then you start thinking about life in a whole different realm that you never thought about before. And then now you get your wife, you get your
Hmm.
children, and you like, okay, I have a way different responsibility. It's
Hmm.
more than just Jordan, it's more
Yeah.
than just
Yeah.
Courtney.
Yeah.
I got to take care of my wife, the
Hmm.
kids, and all of that. So it's like I think like what it does for men that I don't think that we often look at it that way, but marriage really challenges us. Like if
Hmm.
you think about like you being Division 1, me being Division 1, like
Hmm.
only way you get to those levels because you see a challenge, you see the
Yeah.
hill. Like I'm getting up that hill. I don't care about all these other people. I'm getting there.
Definitely. I'm
And
getting there.
so I feel like it's that same thing. Us as men, we have to put those challenges in front of us, and those are the things that make us become who we are going to be.
Hmm.
Because most times, if you got that in you, it's gonna come out when that challenge, when that hill comes in your life, when that valley comes. It's like, okay, now
Hmm.
I gotta, what you made of. And you
Yeah.
know what I mean? I love that you gave yourself that
Hmm.
pep talk in the car,
Hmm.
that affirmation. Like, no,
Yeah.
no, I'm gonna get through this.
Nah.
I'm gonna get through it. So that's just
Hmm.
beautiful to hear that, man. Beautiful.
Definitely. It's again, it's like y'all, I love that you said progress over perfection, right? Like, you know, uh it's a progress, man. And it also comes with me like, God's been good to me, like giving myself grace. I noticed I've always been hard on me.
That's a fact.
And y'all had this thing about being perfect, like no, perfect. Everything's got to be perfect.
Me too.
And even that now as a principal, man, I find myself like, yo, dog, slow down.
Yeah.
Like it's hard, man. I'm telling you, because I want to change the world like yesterday.
Yeah.
But I'm like, nah, man, it's baby steps, you know what I mean? Everything's gradual,
Mhm.
especially marriage and then having my children, like, yo, like Jesus was a servant. Like, yo, man, no matter how high you may get, no, you serve people, you know what I mean? So like I tell my sons openly, like, I'm like, yo, I serve you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I tell my wife, I'm like, yo, I serve you. You know what I mean? And when those hard times come, remember, like, dog,
Yeah.
it's not about you, man. Like,
It's not.
you know what I mean? So I keep that in mind, man. Like I'm a full service, man. I'm a full service.
Wow, man, that's beautiful, man. That servant leadership is
Mhm.
definitely the key in both aspects in our
Mhm.
personal life and our professional life. That's the key right there. That's allowed us to keep going. So
Mhm.
that's
Sir.
great. So then, how does Christ inspire you? I know I pretty much heard a lot
Yeah,
of it
man.
already,
Yeah.
but how does Christ inspire you?
Yeah. I was telling, so we had our boys today. We call our young men in the month. So
Hmm.
every month, students who either showing we have 6 laws that we talk about in terms
Hmm.
of becoming a better version of yourself.
Wow.
And every month, our teachers and grade level managers, they pick one kid, one student who best exemplifies or most improved, because again, who
Yeah.
improved in each specific, law.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we had our little like donut and cider party. I served them. Like they sit down. I'm like, no, man, I'm gonna serve you. And
Yeah,
that's exactly what I said. I said, yo, man, Jesus was of servitude. You know what I
man.
mean? So I want you guys to also, inner city youth, like, nah, man, get used to being served and being treated like who you
Yeah.
supposed
Yeah.
to be. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're a
Yeah.
guy, you're a king. Like,
Come
so
on.
get used to being served, but also know that, you're serving others. So if someone needs help, legit, I was like, someone needs help, help them. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? If someone can't pick something up, pick it up for them. Even if
Exactly.
you may not know the person, man, just be of service. Because that's what the good man did. You know what I mean? Like strive for something.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
This work is not easy in education, and the more it gets, the more I advance, the more I see more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, yo, dude, how can I still be a great person regardless of how someone else is treating me? And that's what keeps me, that's what keeps me grounded. Like Christ was like, yo, man, I forgive them, Father, for not, they not know what they do.
Dude, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and I always, and another thing too is I'm big on, if I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna do it too. So if I tell a student like, yo, man, be respectful, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Regardless of how someone may be talking to you, like you can, I'm like, I gotta model that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like Jesus
all that.
modeled that. You know what I mean? Like he walked that walk.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So my whole thing is like, dude, I got followers. You know what I'm saying? People who
yeah.
literally look up to me, like, Miss Addison,
Exactly.
I want to do
Exactly.
that. I want to be like, I want to
Yeah,
do what you're doing. I'm like, all
yeah.
right, man.
I
I'm
love
gonna show you the way, but I
that.
want to model it to the point where it's not only they want to do it because they see the status or whatever it is,
Mhm.
that they do it because like, nah, man, I saw him. Like, I want to be him. You know what I mean?
Exactly, man.
And I look at it like Christ, bro, set a good example.
Come
You know what
on.
I mean? Like, set a good example. But that's exactly the talk we had today, man. I'm like, yo, be of servitude.
Come
And
on.
that's what keeps me going daily, like at home, at school, like
Yeah.
out in the public community. Like, just be a good person, man. Just be a good person.
That and see, and that goes so far, and then people think that that's something so simple, but it's the fact of like we are a representation of Christ everywhere we go, and
Mhm.
I have that same thought process, because I'm with mentoring the kids. You could be anywhere, and one of your kids might bump into you at a grocery store,
Mhm.
anywhere, and so you always got to be doing that. But it shouldn't be like, oh, I got to make sure I'm doing the right thing. But no,
No,
this is
man.
who I am.
This is
This is
who I
my
am.
DNA.
Your
I'm
point.
I'm talking like this to them, and I'm also walking that out as well. But again, also keeping in mind, progression over
Mhm.
perfection, just continue
Mhm.
to get better. And so that's great to hear that you already
Mhm.
having those conversations. 'Cause I see you guys had like an event at the school. You was helping
Yeah.
the lunch
Mhm.
lady getting out the food. You
Yeah,
served
man.
right there, and I just seen that in the picture. So it's just again like that has to be who we are
Mhm.
at all times, and not just talking about it, but putting action to it.
Very true.
Mhm.
Action, dude. Like my whole thing has been say less. Like say
Mhm.
less, do more. Like say less, do more.
Yeah.
I really hit a turnaround this year, or I say like and kind of like an excelled, like almost like a rapid rate in terms of like, yo, man, how much action are you taking?
Yeah.
And like we talk about change, and I'm gonna change things, but we forget that change can be positive or negative. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no, so I'm very particular when I talk. I'm like, yo, positive change. Like, I want to be a
Yeah.
positive change to the people,
Yeah.
positive change to the people. And I
Mm,
say that constantly because, it's where we want to take it. And again, man, it just drives me, man. It drives me. And I
man.
love the challenges, dog. I love it. I
That's
love it.
that's beautiful,
Yeah.
and I love the way
Mhm.
the changing of the language. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Being specific with
Mhm.
what you're saying. Like now, I don't want to change it.
No,
I want to change it positively. I want to make a
better.
positive change to
Mhm.
this because our words have power. Life and death is in the power
Mhm.
of our tongue. So let's speak it to ourselves. Like you already talked about earlier, the affirmation, and you talk about now. I could just tell that that's a big thing with the language that you use, and same thing for me as well. I feed off of affirmation, but then I also like to send it to other people,
Mhm.
especially professional, but then also in my personal life as well. So, the next question I want to ask you, what advice do you have for somebody who's on the fence? Maybe like
Mhm.
looking at, talk about your experience of getting your life, then going back and forth. Same thing with me. Like, what advice would you have for that person that's on the fence? Like, man, I done tried everything.
Mhm.
Like think about to where you were at that point when your brother was gave you
Yeah.
that gym. Like, what
No,
about for you? Like, what advice would you have for somebody, about giving their life to Christ?
man, go for it, bro. Like legit, go for it. Y'all look at every time, and I even look at like altar calls,
Mm-hmm.
and I looked at the times where God was calling me. Like you feel that, you know what I mean? Like y'all
Yeah.
felt it here, but
Uh-huh.
it was like, super ego. I'm like, oh man, people looking, you know what I mean? Like y'all hit this point in my life, man. I say again, probably like 2019,
Uh-huh.
like right after King was born, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like. Like, yo, it doesn't matter, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yo,
No.
people are like, number one, I'm like, yo, I don't care. And then it's like, yo, people don't care.
Hmm.
But it really, I really had to like, what I would say is like, again, yo, go for it, man. If you feel it, go for it. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like, you're feeling it for a reason.
It's a fact.
Like, and they say your first response or your first feeling, like that's the initial, like you go with it. Like, and
Yeah.
I look at the times in my life where, things, and I don't want to say impulsive, but where it was like, yo, something tells me, like whether it's God, whether it's your conscience, whatever you want to call it, some where it was like something's telling me like, yo, I need to do this. Like
Yeah.
when my brother spoke to me, I was like, yo, I need to do this. And then it's funny because then my aunt called me and was like, hey, like
Come
yo,
on.
God works in ways, you know what I mean? Say where you plan, God laughs. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just say go for it, man. Like there's what's the worst that could happen? Like I'm
Right.
so a big thing. I write it on the time on my whiteboard is just be in the now, like be
Yeah.
in the present.
Present
Like
moment.
don't worry about the like in certain respects, but like don't worry, but like focus on this moment that we have right now.
That's a
You know what I
fact.
mean? Past don't matter. The future won't matter until you handle business right now and just embrace and relish in that moment. I
Mhm.
just say go for it, man.
Yeah.
What's that? Why not?
Yeah,
Why
why
not?
not? That's a
Why
fact,
not?
man. And it's crazy because I know exactly that pull that you're talking about. Like when
Mhm.
the Holy Spirit just has that pull where it's
Mhm.
just like, yo, like I don't know what this feeling is,
Mhm.
but it's drawing me more and more to say because God gives us a conscience. Like
Mhm.
so we know right from wrong. We know what we're doing at night when nobody there. We know what we're doing when
Mhm.
nobody around. We know what we going through in life. And it's like God, like, okay. Like
Yeah.
it's tapping us, tapping on the shoulder. You just like, all right, I want to do it. I want to do it. And
Yeah.
then eventually, when you get to that point when you don't have that fulfillment, he's like, here we go. I'm ready for you. I'm waiting on you. So that's beautiful advice for somebody, and I know that's going to definitely resonate with someone. Thanks for
Right.
sharing that. And that get us to our last question, man. Like, what's your favorite Bible verse and why?
Man, Jerem, fear not, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you,
Mhm.
plans to give you hope in the future.
Come,
Jeremiah 29:11.
come on.
Yo, man. Joe,
Yeah.
Jeremiah 29:11. Fear not, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. Yo, man, that's been a pillar in my life. I don't do tattoos or anything,
Mhm.
just but if there was a tattoo I would have on me, that would be one of them. You know what I mean? Along with like my children and my wife, like that hit my life in 2013 when one of my best friends, God rest his soul, Saran Hood, love him to death. Like my son, my oldest son is actually named after him. So it's Kingston Saran Addison.
Wow.
Um, when he passed, that was the first thing that hit. Like there was a crazy events leading up to when he passed because I was the last person he spoke to.
Mhm.
Um, and it was just crazy how things were working the like prior to it. And when I went to his funeral and wake, his parents gave out these bands that I still wear, man. I'm telling you, like I got a bunch, but like they say Saran, his football number is number 6 and Jeremiah 29:11.
Wow.
And that stuck with me ever since.
Wow.
And yo, when times get hard, it's same thing. When I got this job or this position,
Mhm.
same thing. Like, yo, fear not, man. Like
I'm with
God
you.
will never give me anything that I can't handle.
That's a fact.
And even in the darkest of days, it's just a brighter end. You know what I mean? The darker it is, the brighter the end's going to be.
Come
You know what
on.
I'm saying? That sticks with me, man, and that keeps me moving. That keeps me driven. But also keeps me grounded. You know what I mean? Keeps
Yeah,
me
yeah.
grounded.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful, dude. I'm very thankful.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful, man. I know that so many people are going to be inspired from this conversation. And I thank you for coming on. There's so many different things that we talked about, man, that I
Mhm.
just know so many people are going to catch so many gems from this point, from this conversation. And even more so talking on what you were saying about just having that verse to be able to go back to, keeping you humble, keeping you motivated to stay focused on what you're doing. That ties back to, again, you said,
Mhm.
walk it out. You were telling the kids like, hey,
Mhm.
you gotta be focused, you gotta be
Mhm.
disciplined, and now listening to your Bible verse again, that just showing you you putting it in a full circle, like you walking out what you're talking
Mhm.
every single day. And like I said, man, from the beginning, man, I was just happy to see your face on here. It's
Yeah,
been a
likewise,
while,
man.
but also on top of that, man, I'm super, super proud of you and the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Congratulations on, being a teacher of the year in
Mhm.
2019 and just
Mhm.
seeing now, look at the progression, man, where
Mhm.
God is taking you and where he's taking you and your wife and your kids.
Mhm.
And I know that there's going to be more and more things in the future, man. So
Sure. Yeah.
bless you. I
Mhm.
appreciate you for coming on. Do you have any last things or encouragement you want to share with the
Uh,
kids? With the
man, no, I'm proud of you, dude. I'm proud of you and watching your progression. It was funny, like we competed against each other in high school and
uh-huh.
to like watch you. And I remember seeing you and passing at the mall, and it was always good love. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
positive,
yeah,
good
always,
energy, man. And to
always.
see what you're doing now, like what you started years ago and like how it was building up, like dog, it was meant, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
this is tutelous to you, man. I tip my hat. I'm proud of you, man. Like I'm proud of us. You know what I
Yes, sir.
mean? Because yo, we're not stopping, man. We're not
Come on,
stopping.
come on.
Yo, it's a marathon. I keep that in mind too. Remember, man, progress don't have to be overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Progress doesn't have to be overnight. It's a marathon, dude. Enjoy it.
I love that. Enjoy it. Enjoy the progress. So
Enjoy
look,
the process.
to everybody else, man, that have been watching this, man, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. You have some young men in your life or somebody that can benefit from this conversation, man. Share with them. Until next time, we'll catch you guys. Peace
Sir.
out.
Sir, man.